Connections between people, places, and things continue to spawn, evolve, and terminate over time. In each connection, there is a tail, and from that tail, we derive impact. The effects of that connection may be easy to see or far too abstract for human perception. My connection with Death Stranding impacted me in ways I did not expect or anticipate. This connection was spawned and maintained by my interest. I believe Kojima Productions would deliver a story in a high tech dystopia with symbolism and philosophy scattered throughout. From the start, I felt like the game delivered just that. Over time, it even contributed mystery and drama to the plot. Names like Porter, Deadman, Mama, and Clifford were all casually revealed early on, only to later expose the real meanings behind those names. Deadman's Frankensteinian nature, or Mama's dilemma, both came as a surprise to me, with that same aha moment sometimes felt when you see something that's been there the whole time. The consistency and pace of the reveals and exposition kept me invested and pushing to reach the next bit of story. The overworld rarely contributed to my prolonged interest. There were very few times the stakes ever felt raised. Beached things were far, few, and easily outrunnable. Only once did mule encampments pose a problem. That was quite the exciting adventure. My truck had been hit with an electroshock and sent itself and me into the scarred landscape's deep ravine. I leaped through this new terrain, listening to BB cry as I rushed and hurled to find an exit. Scenarios like that left me feeling excited and engaged. Again, moments like these were far and few between. The story cutscenes often commanded much more attention from me. The 3D scanning and motion capture was immaculate. The emotions on the characters felt incredibly realistic. The tears, body language, and facial muscles contributed to so many performances that blew me away and left me astounded by the state of the technology. Between story points, I mainly spent time walking or driving in a beeline towards my next objective. If the weather was rainy, this may alter my course slightly to avoid it. Funny moments like the shower with Deadman or Fragile's history drew me towards the next objective, not the journey itself. There were always rocks to look out for or pathfinding for my brain to process, though this often felt like simple challenges with barely any consequence. The varied landscapes are pretty. The busy scattering of rocks and boulders made it difficult to ever perfectly memorize an area. Otherwise, the realms between facilities feel empty. What does somewhat fill this empty space comes from our connection to other players. You and others can build structures, place tools, and drop signs to communicate with each other. Abandoned cars, dropped packages, even your urine all leave a lasting impression on this world, and may just impact others that you've never met in ways you might not expect. The few high-stakes moments and connections to other players helped me as I patiently marched to the nearest story beat. My connection did begin to waver at times. Strange aspects of the worlds confused me, like how there appeared to be no nighttime in the overworld and I couldn't store a truck that I had stolen. Feeling BB felt so odd in the middle of a battle. I am glad that the studio tried something different with this companion maintenance mechanic. However, the maintenance seemed to take so long to complete. I would be jumping rooftop to rooftop in a sea of sludge, shooting and hiding from some giant evil beast, only to have to pause in a corner for minutes on end to spin BB's mobile. This just felt wrong and diminished the urgency of the boss fights. As Death Stranding approached its conclusion, it pulled me in with the elegant boss fights and climactic storytelling, while simultaneously pushing me away with one of the sour most moments. The inability to save and exit the game for well over an hour. I was totally unaware of the length of this sequence, and while forced gumping it back across the country, at some point I must have agreed to begin an inescapable mission. This led me to extend my play session hours longer than I anticipated. This took my perception away from the game, periodically watching the clock and operating even more with the intent to just reach the finish line, rather than enjoy the journey there. In a world where everything you touch dies, you are led to appreciate the duration where you are connected, as well as the moments when you are alone. Each storied interaction deepened my connection to the characters and the world. Each lull in between was a reminder of the contrast. It showed me boring, lonely, and often forgotten monotony that exists between life's major milestones. Sometimes surprise interactions did come, and without my time there, I wouldn't have been impacted, or unknowingly impacted others there as well. Our connections often stretch far beyond our own perceptions. Mama said, we have to break some ties to forge others. If I never stopped playing Death Stranding, I would never play another game. If the interesting story beats never stopped, the asynchronous gameplay in between could never start. Perhaps, if Hideo Kojima never parted from his previous company, we would never have connected with Kojima and each other through Death Stranding.